Hello everyone, welcome to the ONLE Networking Show. I'm James West.
And I'm Kelly West, and we are the founders of ONLE, the business network for people who like people.
We are indeed. So we're going to talk about a couple of topics today. What's this thing called network? We're going to go back to basics. How can you get clients from doing online business networking? We're going to try and strip that back to its components, aren't we? So that's part one of the show. And then we're also going to talk about customer experience, customer retention, why it's one of the most underrated things that businesses can do. That's been our discussion this month. Before that, we just want to give a shout out to our sponsor, the lovely Mayflower Theatre down in Southampton. Thanks for the support, guys. We'll give you a little mention, a little bit more detail on that later. So we're going to answer this question. How can online business networking help you find clients? It is an abstract idea. We're going to start with just the very basics. What is it? Why do we meet on a monthly basis or whatever it is? Just describe the structure and what we're trying to do, Kelly.
Okay, so online networking, whether that's ONLE, whatever organisation it is, fundamentally it's bringing groups of business leaders, business owners together in a space where they can share their business journey, raise awareness of their business, meet other like-minded individuals. Depending on the groups you go to, they will have a different flavour, but ultimately, whether it's weekly, monthly, some are bi-monthly, you get together with the same people ultimately at the core, and then visitors come in, and that's where you get the freshness of meeting new faces. But it's that consistency of meeting people, which we're going to talk about today, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ultimately.
So people are going to, everyone introduces themselves, says what they do, what their business offering is, what they're looking for. You'll often find at business networking. How does that help? Why does doing that on a regular basis help you find clients?
We're small fish in a big pond. I don't think there's many of us. I did actually meet one business owner this week who's pretty unique, never met anybody in that field before, but that doesn't happen very often. Most of us are one of a handful of different industries, and we have to stand out from the crowd. So the point here is that by regularly meeting the same people, getting to know them and getting to trust them, liking them is important too. But by being in the same space as those people over time, they really get to know you and your business. Most importantly, you, because to be able to refer somebody on to one of your contacts, one of your friends or one of your family is quite a personal thing.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to risk my credibility by giving a duff referral. So I've got to get to know you as a potential customer or a potential referrer for my network.
And it's based around this idea of helping one another, isn't it? A good network, people go along. I think this is probably one of the sticking points, isn't it? People go to networking events, let's face it, because they want to get business. They want to make sales. Of course they do. This is the counterintuitive bit. If you go in just to say, hi, this is me, buy from me, that doesn't work. What you've got to do is try and help other people, because if you try and help people and everyone in that networking group tries to help each other, that's where you're looking to help the other people in the network maybe get business. And guess what happens then? They'll often try and help you get business.
Yeah, of course they will. I mean, if you're with the right people, you're going to want to help support each other, aren't you? And there's a big piece around community and camaraderie as well, which we won't touch on today, but that feeling of being in a space where you're valued, you're respected, and ultimately people are your sales force, and they're out there looking for business on your behalf. But I suppose one of the key questions is it worth the time investment?
Yeah, I think particularly these days, I call it push the button marketing, sales and marketing. We want to just, what's the thing that I press that's going to give me a sale? And networking's a slower burn, isn't it?
It is. I think there's a big perception of I'm going to go to this meeting and I'm going to get some business. Good luck with that. You know, that doesn't happen very often unless you're selling something amazing that I can just buy off of you in the spur of the moment. Florists do really well in networking. They tend to go to a meeting and get a sale, but that's not realistic. It takes time to build. So I think you've really got to think about the time, not just in the meeting, but what you're doing around the periphery of that as well.
I got a sharp reminder of that the other day. So we run an event, and in fact, we're going to talk about this, how to network online. We run a free every 2 months webinar, which you can book on. I'll get Izzy to put the link on the screen. We went along to that, there was about 50 people there, wasn't there? And normally when we do our networking meetings, we get an attendance sheet. So I always make sure after the meeting, I take a screen grab, I've written notes, I then connect with them on LinkedIn with a message. That is the beginning of me building relationships with those people, learning a bit more about what they do. So the networking events, the introduction, the icebreaker. and then I start to learn more about them and build the relationship. We don't do an attendance sheet for that because it's more of a training. So I saw all these people and did no follow-up with them because I didn't have a record of who it was. And it made me think, how many people go to networking events and go, oh, there's all these people, I didn't do any follow-up, nothing happened, therefore what's the point?
Yeah, and I mean, if you've not done any follow-up and everybody else in the room hasn't done any follow-up, nothing is going to happen, isn't it? So the key point there is spend some time after the event doing exactly that. If you flip that over to me yesterday at a Kent launch meeting, 10 visitors, I spent about 2.5 hours after the meeting just talking to people, finding out about them, connecting them with people. They were connecting me with people, and as a result, probably got 10 new connections out of it. So that's the black and white, that's the contrast. If you go along and you don't really do anything with that information, it's not going to go anywhere, and you can't really expect anything from it. You can still enjoy it.
Yeah.
You can still get a buzz from it, and you can, say, oh, I'll do better next time. But ultimately, give yourself a bit of a goal as to what you want to achieve while you're there.
Definitely. So the key is you go to these regular meetings, get to know the people in your group, try to help them. They're likely to help you. What if you still don't get business? What do we think's going on there?
This is down to messaging again, isn't it? And we talk about this a lot. Once you build a good network and you're in a good networking environment, you can absolutely use that to test your messaging. Ask the people that you're meeting regularly, is what I'm saying resonating? Do you understand what I do? Do you think my price point's right? Would you refer me on to someone? What do you need to hear from me in order to make this sound more attractive? So you can really gain good friendships within the networking space. So, you talk about this all the time with social media. It's very different being in a group of people that are interacting with you than it is, say, posting a social media post. James will say this quite a lot. If you do a marketing campaign on Facebook, it's a bit of hit and hope, isn't it? It flies or it fails. Do you know why it's failed? Is there anybody actually giving you any feedback as to why that messaging hasn't landed? Completely different in the networking space. You can ask why it's not working.
Yeah.
People give you immediate feedback. And also think about the time again. You post something on social media, it might take you a bit of time to set it up, get the content out there, do the pictures. You don't sit on it for 90 minutes and wait for something to happen. When you go to a networking meeting, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, 2 hours, however long it is, you're there, you're engaged. Networking is marketing. That is marketing time that you're spending. It's just that you are having to be actively engaged in that time. So make the best of it.
Yeah, and I think going back, there's two phases to this, and we'll just circle back to conclude with that first question. How do you get clients by going to online business networking? Well, firstly, it's building good relationships with people that once they understand what you do and who your products and services are suitable for, they may either buy from you, because you can actually sell within your network if you've got a product that's appropriate to that networking audience. But if they like you, they've built that trust, they may refer you on to their connections and you can sell to their connections. So that's broadly like one way of getting clients through online networking. The other one is, what if you're not getting clients? And this is where I think networking outstrips all other forms of marketing. If it's not working, it will help you understand why your product isn't selling in its current incarnation. And this is just to echo your point about the fact that you keep posting, you do email campaigns, you do a website, you're doing, other marketing, billboards, you can do advertising. You don't get immediate feedback. So all you can do is go batch test, try a different message, didn't work, batch test something else. Whereas at networking, you can say to people, well, what do you need? What's working? What problems have you got? So that for me, you work out, you get clients from online networking because it teaches you about market demands in a way that no other form of marketing does.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And I think if you're new to networking, my biggest bit of advice would be prepared to succinctly explain who you are and what you do. Takes time to get that right. Ask people if it's not landing, but also remember what it is you're there for. What's your goals? What are you trying to achieve from the meeting? And who are you asking for?
If you've got a marketing strategy with 3 or 4 prongs of proven, workable strategy, i.e. I post that, I do that email, I have that campaign, and it gets me a result, a measurable result, and I've worked out my cost to acquire and all that stuff, you might not even need to go networking, because you've worked that out and you've got income based on that activity. Most people aren't in that position, and that's what networking will help you do, is get a sellable kind of channel through networking, which you can then translate to other mediums. But most people are doing it upside down.
The other way, it's probably worth touching on. We did this, well, you did this certainly in the early business days. When you're in a good network, you will find that your products or services will adapt to suit the networking environment. So many members within ONLE and other networks will go, hang on, I've been with these people a couple of years, they're asking me for this, I'm going to adapt a product and I'm going to make a service specific to the people I'm selling to. You may have other stuff, but coaches quite often do a smaller package or a group training session, or if you're a videographer, you might do I'll help you with your introductions, and specific to the networking world, because it's a big place. So don't forget that you can adapt what you're doing to suit the environment you're in.
It's the mark of a good business owner, is adapting. You do meet people at networking and they go, no, I want to do this. Well, but if no one wants to buy it, am I willing to make the change? So
yeah,
there you go. Well, hopefully that gives you a good insight. And if you want to learn more about that, I've already mentioned it, How to Network Online, every 2 months. We'll put the link on the screen. I won't, Izzy will.
Yes.
And you can come along, and me and Kelly host that, and we'll teach you how to do online networking.
Definitely.
So we want to give thanks and a quick word to our sponsor, the Mayflower Theatre down here in Southampton. You might not know, live theatre entertainment venue, contributes £70 million to the local economy. It's amazing, actually. 500,000 visitors a year. Also deeply involved in the business community, so you can do business events, conferences, that kind of thing. They've got business membership, so do take a look. Links are going to be on the screen. Okay, so it's time to go around the network as we reflect on our monthly ONLE Talks discussion, which was about customer experience. Pierre Balzy, our favourite French person. Sorry, other French people, but he's great. This was one of those light bulb moments within the network, wasn't it? Where I think everyone pays lip service to customer experience and says, of course I love my customers and I look after customers. But when you actually hold it under the microscope, what evidence have you got that you prioritise customer retention over customer acquisition? Most people flounder. Yeah. So the figure that Pierre gave is that 86% of people are more likely to recommend you if they're a loyal customer, because new customers, this is important, don't trust you. They're giving you a chance, but they haven't built trust with you. It's the customer experience, how you onboard them, how you treat them. So what we were asking people is, we said, how much of your time do you spend on customer retention versus acquisition? And people said, 50-50 roughly. Yeah. But then when we said, if you can't include doing the work that they're paying you for, how long do you spend working on customer retention, i.e. making sure they're really happy? Then it drops to almost zero. Yeah. And we're missing a huge opportunity to create not only our best paying customers, but also our best referrers. Our fans. Yeah. So this has been a great ONLE Talks. Go on, pick up some of the comments.
Well, we've had quite a few, haven't we? But we've picked out a few this month. So Phil Coley, newly appointed host of our Bristol group, explained it really perfectly. He says that he gets 79% of his new business referrals from existing clients. That's huge, isn't it? And the cost of acquisition is much lower than getting new customers. Yes, obviously. If your existing fans, your existing clients can refer you, what better way? It doesn't really cost you anything, does it? Keith Shorer, he said, list all of your services and things that you do for your clients and share it with them. That's the important bit. Share it with your existing clients. It's a certainty that someone will say, I didn't know you do that. We've had that before in the past. And market to the people who trust you. Stop looking for the new. Really powerful.
It's this point about, and again, I think it's social media just being so pervasive that we're always looking at customer acquisition. Or what can I do? What campaign can I do to put out there? And it's not a necessarily very efficient way. At the end of the day, you want to sell more stuff. Yeah. So are you selling everything you can possibly sell to the existing customers that you've got that already trust you? Or are you always trying to attract new people, which is harder and more expensive, as Phil made the point? So Very few members, when we actually asked them to be honest, said that they have had any kind of concrete strategy for customer retention. Lisa Armstrong, she's quite a new member, she's brilliant actually. She talks about diarising time to focus on customer retention. Again, we'd probably diarise time to focus on acquisition. What about retention? And Larry Layton, this was quite old school. He talked about taking clients out for lunch, and we might go, oh, isn't that twee? But that's it. That's what we used to do, because what you're doing is, rather than going, right, thanks, there's your invoice every month, loyal customer, I'll do your work, you pay me money, you're saying, I recognise that you're a customer and I'm grateful that you continue to be a customer and support you. Psychologically, that's really important. So we're saying to people, what's your version of taking your clients out for lunch?
Yeah, absolutely. Chris Wilson of the Manchester Group, he made a really good point. If you were left with one customer, what would you do? How would you use that relationship to rebuild your business? Make them feel special, get reviews, etc., etc. But that concept of, okay, turn it around the other way. Who is your best client? Who's the one that you'd think if they left, I'd be absolutely gutted? How do you need to treat them in order to make them stay? That then gives you an idea of how you would rebuild and how you can go on to find other customers if you really had to. So I thought that was a really good point from Chris. Leading me on nicely to my little thing that I added to that section when we were having this discussion. It's not just about the onboarding and the retention, it's offboarding as well. Okay, so when a client leaves you, what do? Just give them a little merry wave and hope that they'll come back one day. Do you have any conversations with them? For us within ONLE, it's incredibly important, and I spend a lot of my time in that space. I will stay in contact with past members, not all of them. I don't have all the time to do that, but there's certain people that I will touch base with, and as a result have a fantastic relationship with. Referrals go backwards and forth between us, but how do you make a client feel when they leave you? Because nothing is forever. Clients do leave, but if you leave them with a really good feeling and all the best wishes, and make it clear that if they want to return, they are very welcome to do so, what happens? We're a testament to this. We have an incredibly good returning member rate because they feel like that's something they're able to do. They've left us on a good note. We have a really good relationship that stays open with them, and then when the time is right and they come back, it's an easy process, and there's not many people that do that. Naming no names, we do know of another network that make it really awkward for members when they leave, really hostile towards them.
Why are you leaving? Where are you going to another network? What's wrong with what we're doing?
Guess what's going to happen? They're never going to go back there because they weren't valued, in that relationship that was probably almost a little bit two-faced while they were there breaks down very quickly. So don't be that person. Be open-minded enough to know that good things come to an end, but it doesn't mean that they won't return in the future. If you offboard people well, even if they're not a good fit for you, either because of their type of business or their circumstances or whatever, they'll refer you on. One of our best referrers has never been a member of ONLE, probably never will be, but it's not right for him, but he values what we do and he understands that we are a good fit for people within his network, so he actively sends people our way. So don't discount people that are not in your immediate sphere.
Absolutely. Well, that's it.
That's it.
Nice little.
Another month's passed.
Nice little summary. It's 30 degrees. Yeah. Well, that's been the ONLE Networking Show. Please like, subscribe and share, and we'll see you again next month.